So yeah, it was in my 30s. For that breakup. And so I guess from having enough, like starting to have enough life experience, even though, you know, if you don't have love experience, like nothing makes up for that. You know, love experience is just, it's all it's pretty singular. Sex turns out to be quite different, you know, because you can objectively get better at sex. It's a skill. And I'm not so sure that love has anything to do with skills. I mean, mutual respect does. Being a human does. Okay, anyway, so the therapy, and then I got involved with, I started taking the idea, so things started really plummeting. So after this love life thing happened, it turns 2010, things just really started going downhill for me. Like, in terms of, I don't know, let's say existential morale. I don't know if that's even correct, because it's more like it's more like a behavioral distinction, because fundamentally, internally, I'm always quite continuous block, and it's always pretty heated crucible in there. But because it involves the external world in the case of love life, then it's more externalized. But it's the same reality. I mean, I'm like pretty yeah, I mean, and just like the nature of the stuff that I think about is kind of gnarly. Like, oh yeah, you know, well, if we're supposed to be thinking about satanic ritual cults of rape and slaughter of children, all right, like, I didn't invent it. It's not my problem that Annika Lucas exists. It's the fucking world's problem now. I mean, it's my problem by implication. But if the world gives me that, I don't know what else to do with it. I mean, we're freaking out about Epstein. Okay, then by extension, we're freaking out about Annika Lucas. I mean, not Lucas. It is Lucas. I'm confusing Rita Lucia and Annika Lucas, which is kind of a weird association to make. I bet they know of each other. They're both marvelously deep thinkers, it would seem, from what little I've heard. Okay, so what? Okay, now I will start naming names. Okay, so I started working with Dr. Jim Buse. This was roughly in January. Oh, this is almost coming up on January. Right now, we're almost talking about to the day of January 2012. What's today? 2026. So that's 10 plus 4, 14 years ago. So 14 years ago, I began what was a very strict psychoanalysis proper with Dr. Jim Buse of Westwood, Culver City, roughly. Boy, the guy was like 6'8", and he was like this old school. I've gone into this on previous things, but old school dreams guy, old school Freudian guy, said very few things, but the things that he did say were always quite good. He just never said anything. Yeah, things were getting pretty fucked up for me at that point. I was doing psychoanalysis 4 times a week. That lasted until my dad got cancer in April, and then I had to take care of him. And so I had to stop therapy. Probably didn't have to stop therapy, but I literally had to be with Constantine. Like, I was getting up at like 5 a.m., drive from Pasadena to Woodland Hills, pick him up, drive him to chemo and radiation in Duarte at City of Hope, drive him back to Woodland Hills, and then drive back to Pasadena. So that routine was like 5 a.m. roughly to 8 p.m. at night. That was like the bulk of the rest of 2012. It's like second and third quarter 2012 that's what I was doing. And then like first 4 months I did that psychoanalysis 4 times a week, and I just kept plummeting. And so about a month into the psychoanalysis, I asked Buse if he knew of any psychiatrists that could prescribe medication. He says, "Oh yeah, here's this Melissa Sullivan." I said, "Okay, you recommend her? She's okay?" Yeah, he was cryptic about it. So I went to see her. I don't have very much good to say about her. She was very uneducated, it seemed. She was young. And she seemed really cynical. It didn't really seem like she believed the things that I was telling her or something. When actually I was telling her what amount to the literal, to the letter description of the so-called, now we have the description of pure O. Like pure mental obsession, sort of like absolute immediate idealistic binding of an idealized object in the mind, and it just stays there. So it's like a sexual fantasy, like just the height of the climactic sort of orgasmic phase, and like you're completely washed in the mental image, like you're there in the experience with the person that you're fantasizing about, and it's just frozen. It's just frozen there in your mind. So I was describing that phenomenology to Melissa Sullivan, and she never used any of these terms, obsessive, pure obsession, but she never cited any papers. She just was like, nah, oh, wow, that sounds like it must hurt. That sounds painful. Yeah, when I'm in pain, I come see the doctor. So, tell me I only found out afterwards when we get, for example, Maria Bamford. When Maria Bamford started talking about her phenomenology with kind of ineradicable thoughts, like suddenly being overtaken with this ineradicable fear that you're going to kill every person in the room. I mean, that sounds terrifying. That is very similar to what I'm describing. So it's like that, but it's a sexual fantasy. It's like the climactic moment of just the most perverse, sort of intimate, disgusting, orgasmic coitus, frozen in the mind, just for years. I lived like that. For years, I fucking lived like that. How did I even function in society? I have no fucking clue. My mind must be made of fucking Fort Knox or something. I mean, my mind is made of Fort Knox. That's what it is. It's a fucking bulldozer made of Fort Knox. How did I survive that shit? I mean, because I had been through that shit, right? So repetition compulsion, I mean, that's my signature, I guess. I just finally figured out how to convert the signature in the signature of my sort of like homesickness anxiety, neurotic homesickness anxiety crisis panic. I figured out, I guess, how to re-inscribe that within the bounds of my love life in order so that I can completely sabotage the possibility of having a love life. Isn't that interesting? Which apparently is what I've done. Hey, I mean, look, it's what I've been saying. What's the offset? What's the price? The price that I pay for this is that I don't get to have a love life. I can have a sex life. And I'm perfectly allowed. And when I say allowed, I mean, these are my own sort of these are my own Kantian regulative ideals, essentially, that, are imposed by me, by a culture that offers its political subjects an absolutely free symbolic field to determine however it is that you see fit. Well, okay, I had to see fit to determine it somehow, so this is how I see fit to determine the thing. Right. So I'm allowed to do such and such, but I'm not allowed to do other things because every domain has its set of regulative ideals that keep it intact. Right? I think we lose sight of these technical details just of the formal components of thinking. That, because, for instance, Kant is not taught in school unless you're taking philosophy classes. Kant is not taught. Well, how do we expect people to be moral in a postmodern society if they don't understand the concept of a regulative ideal? Okay, so in 2012, really the goal was quite concrete, was to bust up this sedimented, obsessional image that had just kind of lodged itself in my mind. And it took a number of years to accomplish. I didn't really even start to accomplish that until maybe 16 or 17. And then already I was starting to, at the same time, get back in contact with the person involved. These are very sticky wickets. I mean, that's not even the correct metaphor, but I don't have metaphors for these things. I don't know, because it's just absolute pure reality. So okay, with Sullivan, what did I start? I think it was a combination of wellbutrin and lamictal. Wellbutrin and lamictal. Okay. Oh, I have a good sex story related to that. Okay.